What's going on, brothers? This is Matt Deeks here. Appreciate you guys for stopping by. So today we're talking about something I've been seeing a lot in the comments, and especially in my live streams chat. Since patch 12 dropped, and that is the XP changes that came with the new patch. I've had multiple people ask me, wait, they removed the XP from Hard Stratagems, or why am I not leveling the same way, or why am I getting less in siege mode? And I'm still getting a lot of questions, and honestly, like, I didn't even realize how many people didn't know that this change happened, and they didn't really make it super visible. If you were to not read the community notes, you wouldn't really know. So I wanted to make this video as like a public service announcement to kind of break down exactly what changed with XP in patch 12, why it happened, and I'll be real with you how I felt about it at first versus how I feel about it now. All right, guys, sit back and let's begin. All right, brothers, so let's really break down what actually changed here, because this wasn't just a tiny adjustment. With patch 12, the tech green update, Saber didn't just add content, they adjusted the progression structure of a lot of modes, all right? The biggest change, it comes with hard difficulty stratagem missions no longer granting XP. So that means if you queue Hard Stratagem right now, you're not going to get any XP from completing it. You can still earn rewards tied to the mode itself, like the accolades. However, the progression XP towards leveling your class, that's completely gone. And that is a big shift, because before patch 12, Hard Stratagems were one of the fastest ways to level if you had a strong squad, or if you were being carried by one. All right, now let's pair that with some other changes that came specifically in siege mode. All right, some siege mode changes. So XP distribution in siege was rebalanced. Okay, and I'll cover both of these in detail, but just kind of an overview. So early waves now give much less XP than before, and later waves give you more XP than before. Okay, so instead of farming waves 1 through 5 and then dipping out repeatedly, the system now encourages pushing deeper into the mode. And if you look at both changes together, there's a clear pattern. They're targeting XP farming behavior. Not XP entirely, not leveling speed entirely, but farming behavior specifically. So when I first read the patch notes and realized Hard Stratagem XP was removed, I'll be honest with you guys, I was like, why? I was a little, not irritated, but I didn't really understand it fully. And again, I'll go over why that thought kind of changed, and it's actually thanks to you guys in the comment section. But anyways, let's continue. So because Hard Stratagem is so intense, it's chaotic, it's insane, all right? It feels like true endgame energy, and when you finish a brutal run, you expect that XP bar to move. So when I saw that it didn't, or that they were going to be taking it out, it felt like the reward loop got cut. And for a moment, I thought, why remove incentive from hard content? Shouldn't harder content reward more? That's my kind of like my base thought on it, right? And that's a fair reaction. That's a reaction that I know a lot of people in my comments section, on my live stream, and even in my long form videos were saying as well. However, let's continue, all right? So at a first glance, this felt backwards, but the more I played, the more I streamed, the more I saw what was happening in matchmaking, and also reading comments, the frustration started turning into understanding. So let's talk about what was really happening pre-patch 12. I've personally had multiple Hard Stratagem runs where, a level 6 assault joins, level 8 heavy joins. They don't have survivability perks unlocked. They don't really have optimized weapons builds, or they're really just, getting down constantly. And you can tell immediately that they're farming for XP. They're not there because they're ready for hard content. They're there because it was one of the fastest leveling methods. Plus, you would get the accolade points to unlock the heroic weapon. So it was kind of like kill two birds with one stone, right? And again, no hate. Everyone wants to level up quickly, and this is kind of where my misunderstanding came into play. Because for me, I didn't really care too much, because I almost felt at times like if a low level player came in, you know, I almost felt like I was like the older brother, you know, like being fully leveled out, fully prestige, all, you know, my weapons maxed out. I almost felt like the older brother, you know, like, hey, let me guide you, let me help you get that XP, man, you know, right? So that's kind of the way I looked at it, and that's why I didn't really understand why this happened. I was a little bit frustrated. But, all right, but here's the big but. Again, what it created was, you know, a carry culture, you know, frustrated high-level players, many failed runs. Like now I'm looking back, and you know how many times that I completed a stratagem after the 5th, 6th time. Was that because I had weak players with me and low-level players? Again, who knows? You know, maybe I'm just not playing up to my standard, but again, let's continue. So failed runs, matchmaking that felt inconsistent, right? And again, this is why I'm making this video, because I'm seeing it still happen now. So clearly there's a disconnect between players and patch 12 notes, all right? So let's continue. Again, Hard Stratagem stopped feeling like a test of skill and started feeling like an XP taxi service. Again, there was times that it felt kind of ridiculous. I remember I was the only level 25, and it was like a level 2 and like a level 5 sniper. And basically I was carrying, and I felt bad, so I tried to run it with them. But again, I had to dip out after like the 2nd or 3rd try because it really wasn't working. So I get where this is coming from, and now I kind of understand why they did this. And again, you brothers in the chat kind of, you know, were reiterating the same, you know, kind of frustrations with lower level players coming into endgame content like this. So again, I completely understand it. Like when you zoom out and think, you know, like a developer, this change makes more sense. If players skip the intended progression curve, they unlock, you know, high tier perks without mastering base mechanics. They enter difficult content without understanding positioning or cooldown management. They become a liability in team-based modes. And then what happens? Veteran players get annoyed, newer players get overwhelmed, matchmaking quality drops. By removing XP from Hard Stratagem, Saber did something subtle, but I think important. They separated challenge content from leveling content. Now, if you queue Hard Stratagem, you know, it's because you want that challenge, not because it's the fastest XP path. And that protects the identity of the mode. Hard should feel earned, not farmed. All right. However, and this is a big however, should, in my opinion, again, just my opinion, guys, should they have removed the whole thing, all of the XP? I don't know. I think decreasing it was the better choice, as opposed to removing it completely. But again, just my opinion, brothers. Let me know down in the comments below. Alright guys, so now let's talk about siege mode, because this part is actually something very interesting, and that's something you should be considering when you're playing siege mode, so just keep this in mind, alright? Before patch 12, you could farm early waves efficiently. You know, run waves 1 through 5, extract, requeue, repeat, low risk, consistent XP. So now what's changed, guys? Early waves gives less XP, but later waves give significantly more XP. So that changes behavior. It rewards, you know, team coordination, resource management, long-term survival, and class synergy. Instead of farming the shallow end of the pool, you're rewarded for swimming deep. And I actually like that direction. It encourages skill growth instead of repetition. Now, there's one small caveat, all right? The further on you go in siege mode, I find, specifically after patch 12, that I get more crashes and game drops. So again, this push into later waves can only be possible if they provide a hot fix, because watch my streams, this has happened multiple times on streams, and for a lot of people, go over my last video, you'll see in the comments section, you know, tons and tons of people experiencing the exact same thing, tons of crashes. Okay, so if you're gonna tell us to, you know, go late game, go end game, really push, you're gonna have to fix these hot patches, okay? Or these you're gonna have to fix these patches with hot fixes. All right, Saber. But anyways, let's continue. So why I'm seeing the confusion in the comments and streams, the reason I wanted to make this video is because I'm still encountering brothers who didn't know this change happened. I've had live stream chat say like XP is bugged. Why didn't I level? Is this a glitch, Deegs? It's not a glitch. It's intentional design. And I think part of the confusion is because XP removal feels dramatic when you don't expect it, right? So if you finish Hard Stratagem, you look at the XP bar, nothing moves. You're like, what the heck, right? That feels wrong if you weren't aware of the patch notes. So this video is to just, clear things up, a little bit of a, public announcement for any of you who did not know. Again, if you're a veteran of this game, you're pretty up to date with the news, but if you're kind of just starting out, or you're coming back after a long time because you want to try out the Tech Marine, all the new stuff, the new operation, right? You might not know. So hopefully this video helps you. So here's my final position on this. So where do I land now? If you're interested in my position at all right? And again, this is just my opinion, brothers, all right? So at first, I was a little annoyed, specifically around the Hard Stratagem XP nerf. So now I think it's better for the game overall. It slows down power leveling. Yes, I understand that, but it strengthens progression integrity, and I appreciate that. And it improves matchmaking quality, and it makes Hard Stratagem feel like what it should be, a true challenge mode, not a leveling shortcut. Will some players miss that fast XP grind? Absolutely. But long term, I think this helps the health of Space Marine 2. Now, I want to hear from you, brothers. Do you think Hard Stratagem should still have XP? Do you think they should have reduced it instead of removing it? Have you encountered low-level players getting carried before patch 12? Guys, drop your thoughts down below. I read everything. I want to know what you guys have to say. And if you appreciate honest breakdowns like this, not just hype, but real discussion about game design, make sure you're subscribed, all right, brothers? More patch 12 content coming, more class breakdowns coming, and I'll keep covering how these changes actually affect real gameplay. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the battlefield, brothers, in the next one.